Oh, thanks. I was getting ready to do that. I promise. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I'm here in sweltering, uncomfortable, ridiculously, unbearably hot Santa Cruz mountains. I think I'll eventually be joined by a co-host or two. I'm not entirely sure at the moment. Let's figure out what the hell we're doing, huh? Let's see. If you watched the show yesterday, you saw a wonderful conversation with Ricky Varandas from the Ripple Effect. I would highly recommend, if you haven't, you go subscribe to Ricky's channel, give him a listen, and check out what he's got going on. Ricky, of course, is one of the four people who helped bring together the Union of the Unwanted, which is just incredible. And I think is coming back with the full panel on Monday. Tomorrow we've got a pretty busy day. I know Gloria and I are going to be on Franco's show. We've got Get Your Shit Together. I've got some other interviews trying to bring attention to the fact that Commander X got kidnapped and renditioned and is in solitary in Santa Rita jail right now. Some point during the broadcast, I'll make sure I bring up the information on how you guys can write to Commander X. Please do that, by the way. If you're locked up, little bit of mail makes a whole lot of difference. It does. In fact, maybe I'll go do that right meow. We're coming at you from StreamYard, seeing how it works out for us, seeing if it's something we want to keep, getting to learn it, gonna fuck it up a little bit, so bear with me when that happens, because I promise it will. We're also going to dive into the brand new recently released report outlining the strategy for countering domestic terrorism. So that'll be fun. But first, let's see what happens when we pull this up. So anybody that would like to write to Commander X, this is how you do it. Give a little bit of time to write that down. You're writing to Christopher Doyon, Doyon. The number is 03476-028, and that's going to go to Santa Rita Jail, 5325 Broder Boulevard, Broder, in Dublin, California, 94568. Again, Santa Rita Jail, 5325 Broder, Broder Boulevard, Dublin, California, 94568. And you're writing to Christopher Doyon, and inmate number, registry number 03476-028. If anybody has any questions about that or anything, throw it in the chat. I will, at least on YouTube, put that out as a post, or it's whatever the fuck YouTube's version of a tweet is. And then that is definitely on my Twitter. It's on the Free Commander X _ Twitter account, as well as like a number of other people affiliated with Anonymous Bites Back and all that good stuff, please, guys, do write to Commander X. Is importante. What the hell am I doing? All right. Well, let's, I guess, go ahead and dive into it then. As you guys know, the false flag psyop that was the January 6th Capitol insurrection will be and is being used as the scapegoat for a whole bunch of domestic terrorism laws, policies, protocols, surveillance measures, and ever expanding surveillance-based economy that just magically and mysteriously were already on the books, just kind of waiting to be rolled out for something exactly fucking like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the document itself has to say. This one, unlike a lot of the other ones that we tend to go through on the show, only 32 pages. Only. We'll make it just a little bit bigger here. Yes, that's what she said. So this is the fluffy introductory sort of hearts and flowers, lay it on thick with the bullshit and propaganda. But it's interesting that this is written by somebody in Joe Biden's office. Like, they put his electronic signature on it. There's no way Joe Biden wrote this. Joe Biden can't put together a fucking sentence. But what they're focusing on, and kind of like where they want the media's had to go when they read this, because ultimately there will be a couple of talking heads that report on this. They'll bring on a counterterrorism expert. He'll tell you why you need to hate your neighbor, why you need to be afraid of the person that works at your gas station or your grocery store with, and kind of ratchet up the tension and the fear. But look at what they're focusing on. Too often over the past several years, American communities have felt the wrenching pain of domestic terrorism. Black church members slaughtered during their Bible study in Charleston. A synagogue in Pittsburgh targeted for supporting immigrants. I'm pretty sure that particular incident, the one that they're talking about, that was Jewish people trying to get other people in trouble. A gunman spraying bullets at an El Paso Walmart to target Latinos. That was essentially like a campaign photo op for Beto O'Rourke. It was one of the most cynical and gross things that happened on that campaign trail. It goes against everything our country strives to stand for in the world. It poses a direct challenge to America's national security, our democracy, and our national unity. This national strategy for countering domestic terrorism lays out a comprehensive approach to addressing the threat while safeguarding bedrock American civil rights and civil liberties values that make us who we are as a nation, which is, silly. Americans hold a wide array of beliefs as part of what makes the United States such a diverse and extraordinary nation, preserving and safeguarding constitutionally protected expression and freedom of association are national security priorities. My ass. They're criminalizing protest all over the place. We have all levels and kinds of surveillance. It's bullshit. Let's see. We cannot ignore this threat or wish it away. Preventing domestic terrorism and reducing the factors that fuel it demand a multifaceted response across the federal government and beyond. That includes working with our critical partners in state, local, tribal, and territorial governments and in civil society, the private sector, academia, local communities, as well as with our allies and foreign partners. They're slow walking the public-private partnership. They're kind of explaining what Mickey Mat is to you right there. This is a project that should unite all Americans. That's right. If we don't get together and snitch for freedom, the terrorists win. And we must recommit to defend and protect these basic freedoms, which belong to all Americans in equal measure, and which are not only the foundation of our democracy. There are enduring advantages in the world. Look at that signature. Like, we thought Trump's signature was bad. You got to be kidding me. We jump over into here. Okay. So the introduction thing, we don't really need to go over too much in it. Kind of lays out a little bit of what their bullshit is about. This is kind of important for background. Some aspects of the federal government's response to domestic terrorism are not new. During Reconstruction, the Department of Justice was created and immediately focused on prosecuting and convicting hundreds of Klan members in connection with their vicious campaign of domestic terrorism. That is wildly exaggerated. And also not the reason that the Department of Justice was created. In the 1980s, Joint Terrorism Task Force is now a nationwide staple of federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement cooperation against all forms of terrorism were created to maximize information sharing and address the full range of terrorism threats, both domestic and international. What they're not telling you there is that the Joint Terrorism Task Force, when they focused on domestic terror, it was all gangs. That's all they considered to be domestic terrorists. Gangs and like socialist leaning union organizations. That's why they wanted the domestic terrorists here. While domestic terrorism's roots and elements of our response may be longstanding, domestic terrorism is both persistent and evolving, according to U.S. intelligence community and law enforcement, elevated in the threat it now poses. And the threat it now poses. Well, I wonder why. This is just the background bullshit. I really don't want to linger on it too much. A provision of federal law defines domestic terrorism as activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or of any state, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, to influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Really? Does that mean if we applied that the way that the government would to, you know, a group of people, we could infer that lobbyists intend to intimidate or influence the policy of the government? I think so. I think so.
I was just going to say affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping and occur within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. That sounds like the United States prison system.
I mean, it really does.
Yeah. to a T.
It also sounds like American law enforcement.
Yeah, to a T.
Hi, Glory. How's it going?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing good.
According to this assessment, one key aspect of today's domestic terrorism threat emerges from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists and networks whose racial, ethnic, or religious hatred leads them towards violence, as well as those whom they encourage to take violent action. These actors have different motivations, but many focus their violence toward the same segment or segments of the American community, whether persons of color, immigrants, Jews, Muslims, other religious minorities, women, girls, or LGBTQI plus individuals or others. Their insistence on violence can at times be...
I'm sorry, but what's the I mean? Is that intersex?
Document in a minute, but I
don't even know what the fucking I is.
There used to be a couple of more letters in there too, and then they just like took off the other letters and added the plus sign to it.
They cut off the A. That's what they did. I think I is intersex, but I'm not sure.
Y'all, it's infuriating to me that they had to add like 8,000 fucking letters to that because I can't remember any of them anymore.
And then you're committing a hate crime if you don't.
Or well, I have a pass on that, so
I know,
Oh, yeah.
but do you? You're
I
just
think
bi,
Sleepy
Josh.
does.
You're merely bi. I think you need to have like attachments and fucking. You need to like. I think you need to identify as a dragon before
Right.
before
for what
you get
it's
a pass on like a complete pass.
for what it's worth, Sleepy, I totally feel you on that because there's like 800 different names for fucking biracial people, and I'm like, okay, so should I call myself a person of color? Should I just say I'm light skinned? Should I say I'm black? Should I say I'm biracial? Like, do people know what that means? Should I say I'm mixed? Like,
It's too much. It's too much.
I am this
That's my
specific
point.
part of this dysphoria, and that means that yeah, no,
it's so it's so overcomplicated. It really
right. And
is.
here's the thing:
It's
when you're really rich, it doesn't matter, and when you're really poor, it doesn't matter. It's only everywhere in the middle where people need to give a fuck in order to classify somebody or categorize somebody. If you have absolutely nothing, like everybody's your family because they can't really take anything from you. If you have absolutely everything, you're so fucking insulated that people are insects, so it doesn't fucking matter anyway. It's just here in the interspersing areas where we've got to do this for some dumb fucking reason. I don't know. And like, I understand I'm being a little dismissive there, but it's important that people be recognized and treated like human beings. I'm for that. I don't need to elevate people to do that or like make categories of who should be treated better or more specialer in order to do that. I kind of feel like that's something that should be like, life goals for everybody, to not have to classify a motherfucker in order to know how you're supposed to feel about them.
Yes.
Maybe I'm talking crazy. I don't know.
No, I'm with
Damn
you.
cracker.
Right? Oh, fuck up, okay.
You are pretty fucking white. Just saying.
I'm sorry. I don't know what it was about that. That just made it was just so funny.
It's funny.
My bad.
I love you, Sleepy.
What happens if I do that? That's what happens if I do that. Neat. Okay, so that's what that does. All right. Let me go back.
You made it bigger, Steve.
I'm gonna go back to this document. Just gonna let that hang there, Jones.
I didn't.
Come on. Okay, domestic terrorists have, particularly in recent years, often been lone actors or small groups of informally aligned individuals who mobilize to violence with little or no clear organizational structure or direction. Let's pause there for a minute, because what has, history shown us recently, and I will come back away from the screen here. What has history shown us recently when it comes to domestic terrorists being lone wolves or small groups of people that don't have organizational structure? Because from what we've been reading and what we've been reporting on, there's a lot of organizational structure in a lot of these, fringe or militia groups or violent extremist domestic terror groups, and that organizational structure is the FBI.
Yeah.
I want to go. I'm gonna, if you could say words while I find Magnus's Twitter account to pull up that hilarious thread about the FBI and the Michigan governor.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's just, sometimes you look at something like the Colonial Pipeline hack that, was one of these here great cyber crimes, and you look into it and you think, so a hack by a ransomware group where it was disclosed to us by a pretty respected member of the hacktivist community, Free Commander X, that one of the members of said ransomware group ran off with the money they earned. And, give or take a couple weeks later, we suddenly learn that, the government managed to recover most of the money lost in the ransomware attack. Oh, goody! Like how? Like these motherfuckers are like, they're like so close to just straight up putting out on the blockchain, like, yeah, we're the FBI. I mean, it's unbelievable. And like it's happening right in front of us, and there's a clear agenda at play, and we're seeing it play out right now with the increased justification of attacks and the increased attacks on people involved in the hacktivist community, like Commander X, like, you know, now Barrett Brown, and yeah, the
You really struggled to get that one out, Gordon.
universally loved figure in the hacktivist community, Barrett Brown. Yeah, but for real though, for real, like if he's gonna get screwed,
seriously,
if Barrett Brown's gonna get screwed by charges, then like yes, we'll come to his defense. But I mean,
I know.
because that's what being principled is about. I mean, like Reality Winner, when she made her leaks to regrettably The Intercept, she thought that she was, you know, supporting Russiagate in doing so. And like, regardless of what her political affiliations are, we still supported her. You know, Chelsea Manning, disagree with her a lot politically when it comes to, you know, her views being on the
so many things, but that's not the point.
But like, still love her, still support her, still admire her for everything she went through. And like, that's what you're gonna see. You're going to see across the board support for every victim of this police state, of the surveillance state, of the empire, because that's what focusing on taking down this system is about.
And look, on that subject, man, we don't ever get to pick who's going to be the next political prisoner. There's not a fucking raffle. Nobody's holding a contest for this shit. We're not drafting people. We're not volunteering someone to go be the face of U.S. criminal justice overreach. That's not what we're doing. And because of that, you're going to find people who, for whatever reason, are called to that particular lifestyle, form of activism, whatever the fuck it may be. And then you're going to have to look at what's being done to them, not who that person is, whether you agree with them 100% of the time or not. That shit's never going to happen. There are people all over the journalism community that don't like Julian Assange, that are jealous of Julian Assange, shit like that. But a lot of them are still speaking out for him because it's the right fucking thing to do. There are more that aren't because they're scared, bought, or otherwise compromised. But even the ones that are like, yeah, dude, not my guy, but holy crap, this is insane. I can't believe it. Take a look at it. Something's got to be done about this. If you can't bring yourself to do that based solely on the fact that you don't agree with what a person said or how a person went about like bringing their information to the public, I hope you don't find yourself in a similar situation and need support from people who may not agree with you.
I mean, we might support you, but there's only so far that, you know, principled people like us can go with our support, like that. And that's why we're trying to, you know, really broaden the scope here. So there is a lot of support for political prisoners, for whistleblowers, for really anyone challenging the system and facing the consequences of doing so.
Yeah, dude, Marty said some pretty fucking hardcore harsh shit, and I still want him to be able to have his legal defense. Barrett has arguably been a shitbird on purpose, out loud.
He allegedly might be a douchebag, okay?
Self-admitted. and eat like right. I swear to God, if he popped into the call right now, we'd put him on screen and have a conversation with him. Like it, not to blow smoke up his ass, but to at least inform people what the fuck is going on with this case. I don't even know if he's got to see the charges that the U.S. had, drawn up against him. That alone would be interesting. It would be nice to ask him why he thought it was necessary to try and throw Julian under the bus, but then he'll turn around and be like, but Margaret Kunstler, and it'll just kind of snowball from there. So is it like, that's not really, I don't even know if it's worth talking about that. I really don't, because it would just devolve into some whataboutism bullshit that doesn't help anyone and throws fucking shade on other activists. So that's what's weird about all this, because everybody wants, or not everybody, but a lot of people want to see a confrontation, and a lot of people want to see like a heated exchange. I'm not really looking for that. And I'm definitely not looking for that out of advocacy, which means occasionally you got to talk to people you don't want to talk to, or work with people that you don't want to work with. But oh well.
Whoa.
Have you ever had another job? Ever? Anywhere that had more than 3 people in it? Like, dude.
You ever played a sport?
Played a sport? Any sport? Jesus, man. There were people on teams of mine that I couldn't fucking stand, dude. And we played well together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It is. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's fucking instant gratification society. Everybody thinks that they're fucking, who you're fighting for has to be pure, or like somehow never have made a mistake before in their life. Or even if they made like pretty serious mistakes, that somehow justifies the treatment that they're getting by a violent authoritarian state. No,
man, I think we need to have Reverend Annie take some fools to church again,
dude.
Can we?
I was just talking about her yesterday, and I texted Ian a little while ago. I'm gonna try and make another Reverend Annie show happen in July or early August.
Because these people need to be reminded periodically that you can work with fucking people you don't like.
Yes, and I'd like to talk to Reverend Annie again.
And before we do that, I do want to do a whole.
I did get to meet Reverend Annie.
I do want to do a whole ass show on COINTELPRO, and really break that down.
I bookmarked like a 400-page Senate intelligence report from like 1978, I think it was, that goes into full detail of all the surveillance activities. I've
got one of those, and I've got an FBI report, and then I've got like a scholarly assessment of it, like assessment of the files that they got in 71 and all that shit.
Yeah. I mean, like, I advise against reading this. No. I recommend reading it because it's necessary, especially for younger people to understand how infiltration and surveillance and co-option works. But at the same time, brace yourselves. Yeah. You wanted to bring up that thread of Magnus's, Steve?
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, because there's a couple of good there were a couple of good articles in it that just highlight how the Michigan FBI works, and so I'll just pull up the articles, and it'll be a little bit easier that way, and then we'll get back to the domestic terror document.
from the notorious Boogaloo terrorist,
right? So so this thing, Dearborn Heights man accused of supporting ISIS, sentenced to 5 years. Turns out that this dude got set up by 2 FBI employees posing as Muslim women that were catfishing him by the phone and online. They played this dude so hard that they convinced him to make threats, to go like get a gun, and helped him plot an attack. So he didn't actually commit any crimes. He talked about it because these 2 FBI agents posing as Muslim women like talked him into and radicalized this man who was mentally ill as well. So good on you, FBI. But this is Dearborn, Michigan, if you guys aren't aware, and I'll go to the next article here. Has a predominantly Muslim population. I think it's the highest concentration of American Muslims anywhere in the world. There we go. Yeah, this is just a follow-up, I believe, on that article. No, fuck you.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, 21-year-old mentally ill man that the FBI catfished, radicalized, and then arrested so that they could be like, look, we're stopping terrorism. This is the same FBI that formed the Group 4 and allowed themselves to be caught in the planning of kidnapping and executing Michigan Governor Whitmer. It's the FBI. When we talk about stopping extremist domestic terrorists in the U.S., historically, the people that we're stopping are the FBI.
Yeah. That's like Harvey Weinstein filing a report about writing an op-ed about, we need to tackle the problem of sexual harassment and rape in Hollywood.
Hey, you know who's a shitbird? Bryan Singer. Somebody better do something about that guy. Signed, Harvey Weinstein. I'm out. So anyway.
That's like Jeffrey Epstein being like, I'm working in collaboration with the federal government to tackle human sex trafficking.
Dude, Jeffrey Epstein worked with the federal government to fucking go after some of the big mortgage lending companies. That's how he got his sweetheart deal in 2008. He explained how credit default derivative swaps work and showed how these banks were able to bilk millions of homeowners out of billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Epstein was that rat. That's how he got it. I mean, that was the paperwork on how he got his sweetheart deal. For all we know, he had pictures of every, judge and prosecutor in the entire state. But ostensibly, it was being a rat on the financial crisis that allowed him to skate before he didn't kill himself in the Manhattan Detention Center. Let me go back to this report here. Where'd it go? There it is. I got a lot of tabs open. Actually, I don't. So, back in March, a mere 2 months after we barely held on to our fragile democracy, which hung in the balance all day amid buffalo horns and occasional flag waving and
velvet ropes.
3 people getting outside of the velvet rope. Oh, and also the state murdering an unarmed woman. The IC assesses that domestic violent extremists, DVEs, who are motivated by a range of ideologies and galvanized by recent political and societal events in the United States, pose an elevated threat to the homeland in 2021. enduring DVE motivations pertaining to biases against minority populations and perceived government overreach. I love that.
Proceed.
Government overreach will most certainly continue to drive DVE radicalization and mobilization to violence. Newer socio-political developments, such as narratives of fraud in the recent general election, the emboldening impact of the violent breach of the U.S. Capitol, conditions related to the COVID-19 pandemic, and conspiracy theories promoting violence will
Goodness
certainly
gracious.
spur some
Oh my
DVEs
God.
to try to engage in violence this year.
Oh my God. Conspiracy theories promoting violence.
Yeah.
You fucking kidding me? Like, mind you, conspiracy theories doesn't just encompass, going against the official narrative on COVID. That's literally questioning everything. That's like, fucking around with your friends on a damn, like, we're gonna, because it's got to be spyware. So fucking around with your friends on a Zoom call and saying like, hey, I'm gonna explore some flat Earth theories just for fun. Or, let's talk about the moon landing. What's up with that? Like, man, yeah, I just watched the JFK Oliver Stone movie. I'm like really skeptical of what happened there. Like, shit like that is now going to be painted as promoting violence. They're just going to discourage any alternate thought at all. And we know that it's not just the COVID conspiracy theories that they're talking about, because we see the effects. Like, we see the effects of how now any sort of alternate thought is being discouraged as a part of this. It's like you get the people that are like, oh, you don't believe that this experimental drug is a vaccine. Guess you're a flat earther too. What has a flat earther ever done to you? Like, what harm? Like, if I start saying the earth is flat, what harm is that going to do to you? British, fuck you.
So in the Rockfin chat, Gardy Lou, thank you very much for the comment because it's fucking solid. Pro tip: if an activist group asks you to publicly affirm you believe that the government must be replaced and you are willing to break the law, it's likely entrapment. Almost like MI5 and the CIA designed XR themselves. And I honestly, I only know what a handful of people in XRDC are up to, and those are like 3 legit activists that aren't involved in national leadership anyway. XR seems like, I don't know, dude, the activists on the ground are solid. And it's so weird how they're massively funded overseas and can like pull off incredibly elaborate, wonderfully costumed, very high profile actions. I'd like to have all that energy and resources without, any sort of compromised leadership. That would be cool. If we could get nice. that would be awesome. I don't know though.
That's a fairly reasonable request there, Mr. CEO of Scoop Gang.
Right? I mean, Jesus, dude. The XR is very, very, very well funded. And that's what raised my red flags immediately, because activism groups don't just show up funded. But I do know a handful of the on-the-ground XR activists, and they're solid individuals. I don't know. It's activism, man. There are more traps than there aren't. It's wild.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
It really is. It's like, and that's why, like Steve said at the beginning of the show, it's like, or earlier, it's like, it's why we got to start talking about, COINTELPRO and infiltration and stuff, and because it's very, very much still alive.
Yep. Okay, so skip down that bit here. The IC assesses that U.S. RMVEs. Oh shit, there's an abbreviation that I missed. Racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists. God, these guys and their fucking acronyms. Who promote the superiority of the white race or the DVE actors with the most persistent and concerning transnational connections. Because individuals with similar ideological beliefs exist outside of the United States. And these RVMEs frequently communicate with and seek to influence each other. We assess that a small number of U.S. RVMEs have traveled abroad to network with like-minded individuals. I will go ahead and pull up a picture of someone in the U.S. Who traveled abroad to meet with violent right-wing extremists.
Could it be? I mean, like, I want to assume there's gonna be, like, you know, a picture of Joe Biden, but like, there's so many. It's taking you a while to look up a picture of Joe Biden. There you go.
There's Joe Biden and a foreign far-right extremist, of course, is the president of Ukraine, who Joe Biden helped bring into power by arming and funding and supporting neo-Nazis. Because as a policy, post-World War II, the American government and the CIA have made sure that there are well-funded, well-armed, incredibly violent, far right-wing Nazi or neo-Nazi gangs that have strongholds in European countries just in case those fucking commies ever rear their heads again.
Yeah.
Because we're careful and we're concerned. Because the real threat, of course, communism. So here's the thing, man, and this happened on Twitter earlier. I do think that there's a worthwhile discussion to come out of it, and then we'll go back to the document. But there's a conservative personality named Olivia Rondo, who, I mean, I wouldn't mind talking to her. Really wouldn't. But she says calling someone a communist used to be a serious accusation and a grave insult. It meant that they were an authoritarian thief who believed the government should forcefully redistribute wealth and tell you what to do. Now many of my generation are proud of it. And this is why I believe, because they were born into an authoritarian system where the corporate state steals the wealth and fucking forcefully redistributes it to the top 0.1%. They're told that that's capitalism. We're all told that that's capitalism. So they gravitate to the perceived opposite. Different flavors of oligarchy, and the notion that, like, this is the same ideological segment that will say taxation is theft and mean it. You know, if you're coming from the place of taxation is theft and you live in a arguably capitalist country, and the country that you live in, like, is undeniably a oligarchy, where the economic system by which you commit economic violence, capitalism, then the people who are born into that recognize more or less immediately that inherited or generational wealth is not the hand they were dealt, that building their own wealth and being able to, like, pass it on to their children or their children's children, probably not going to happen either. then you're going to look for an ideology that supports a more equal footing. Per the literature, that would be communism because of the equality aspect. We get aware almost immediately that a meritocracy is a myth. That the cream doesn't rise to the crop in Western society because that's not how we've decided who gets to be rewarded. If there's no like even field of competition, if people are starting and all they have to do is step 3 steps and they're over the finish line when everybody else is miles away, they're going to want to find some sort of system that balances that out. I'm not recommending authoritarian communism as a replacement for that. I'm not. I never will. I promise you that. I'm telling you why a lot of people would look to an alternative system that still allowed for a like, you know, work-based economy rather than a UBI based economy or some shit like that. But
Well, I mean, I kind of
workers
took
paid rather than management paid, then wealth distributed, profit distributed.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, I think a lot of people don't explicitly want, what you're describing as authoritarian communism. I think what a lot of people want is simply a way a way to kind of prosper and help take and like something of a mutual aid network of sorts. Like something that's very much they're looking for that sort of kind of mutual aid network, but they're also looking for solidarity and security. And that's something that that's just something that I've seen. I don't really know how to properly articulate that because I honestly have a lot of thoughts surrounding that where it's like well also because also another major factor in there is the fact that this is a country comprised of a lot of this is a country that is comprised of a lot of immigrants and a lot of members in diaspora communities. So it's like you also have that sense where people not where people they're kind of not afraid to get called a communist because they're coming from countries that were literally targeted because of it, where their own sovereign states they came from were ruined because of that perception. So it makes sense that they would not necessarily have like an enthusiastic or an overly averse reaction to getting called a communist, but they would be like, just indifferent to it. Like, yeah, so what? So, I mean, yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I just think there's just like so many factors in that, honestly, that like I have so many thoughts on that swirling at once. But I mean, the angle that I kind of approached it at is something, coming from like a diaspora background where it's like I'm where it's like I'm not gonna be mad if you fucking call me a commie, even though I'm not. Like there's already been like there's so much tangible suffering that's been inflicted upon peoples because of this war, because of that stigma, because people have waged a propaganda campaign against anyone to the left of freaking Dick Cheney. So it's like, I don't know, or anyone, like liberty wise on the, like in that bottom quadrant of the political compass. So I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that and I can't really get them together right now.
So I mean, it's a whole ass show topic that we might even want to like put a panel together on.
I don't know, I hate using
I'm over
isms
here-
either way.
Yeah, I'm over, like, way over in the all of our isms have absolutely failed us, and we need an entirely new concept of what work is and why
Yeah.
something as gross and corrupting and corrosive and inherently destructive as money is necessary.
I mean, the only kind of, like, you know, old school concept that I guess I would want to ascribe to, that I really want to adhere to as much as possible, is, like, you know, self-determination. Like, that's just, yeah. I mean, something that's able to preserve some agency and self-determination,
And that's the
especially
shit
for
that's the
countries
shit
in the
that is
global
really-
south that have been meddled with so fucking much. For fucking fuck's sake, let these people do what they want. Like, I don't care if the countries in the global south want, honestly, I don't care if the countries in the global south want to have some central power structures. I honestly don't. Like, you'd think that they'd want to defend themselves after having to put up with so much fucking imperialist fuckery. Like, but that's their right. Self-determination. And guess what? The people in the country have the self-determination to even protest against that if they want to. It's fine. I just want them to be self-sufficient and have their own agency.
Well, and here's the thing, man. If the American model, if the Western model is so clearly superior, why are you spending so much money and blood and resource and treasure trying to destabilize it and stop a different system? Like, if the system is inferior, then that system will collapse under the weight of its own inadequacy. And then you can come in and scoop up the pieces. But if you accelerate it out of the danger it poses, not just the danger it poses to our sovereignty or peace, but our entire way of life. If it's that much of a threat, then it is potentially a working model. You know what I mean? It's potentially successful. And look, I guarantee you, with enough people that have enough guns pointed at them, you can get stuff produced. You can, 100%. The pyramids are a testimony that slavery gets shit done. But that's not
the entire industrialized South.
right. I do think it's hilarious how in that strategy for countering domestic terrorism, it talks about the DOJ being formed during the Reconstruction, but instead of telling you why the DOJ was formed, they tell you it was because they wanted to stop the Klan. Yeah. 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 The idea that the Department of Justice was created because they needed to stop white people from lynching black people during the Reconstruction is pretty silly.
Yeah, that's if I speak. Oh my goodness. We have a special appearance in the YouTube chat from Sarcasm Stardust, aka Comrade Misty.
Hey, Mindy.
Holy shit.
Right?
Misty had a great show yesterday with Fee and Sky Daddy. Wait until we're done streaming, but y'all should go watch that with the fams.
Right. Well, it's always nice to have the chat graced by a Twitter celebrity.
I know, right? Us mere mortals over here.
Right? We love you, Mindy. We do. We love you, Mindy. I do want to show this shit real quick before I forget because it's gross. And we'll hopefully put the nail in
The Zionist coffin.
no, Andrew. Well, I mean, I guess so because Andrew
Oh, sorry,
Yang is a Zionist, but
I thought you were talking about, for a second, like I thought we were thinking of like the same video, and I was like, "Ooh, could it be?" But nah. Okay, yeah, no, it's a different video that I'm thinking of.
yeah. So this happened yesterday during a New York candidate forum, New York governor candidate forum, and the mayoral debate. My bad, not governor, mayor of NYC. So the question was about the mental health crisis, and Andrew Yang. This is the full clip too, because there's a 9 or a 10-second clip going around where he just gets a little tiny bit of the horrific shit out, and then you're like, well, man, come on, dude, that's out of context. It can't be the full clip. Let's see the full clip. This is the full clip. This is his answer.
Half of the attacks on Asian New Yorkers have been by the mentally ill. Well, they're walking around, they're mentally ill, they see someone who's different, and then they lash out. So this is such a crucial issue to return a sense of safety to our city. I agree with Ray that we do need to be much more aggressive about Kendra's law. Right now, the standard is this. Someone has to self-select and say, hey, I need help. Get me services. A lot of people who need help don't have the capacity to raise their hand and say, I need help. So we have to get the people the help that they need, even if they don't know it yet. And we can do this. There's been a standard in the past where if someone is clearly mentally ill or in need of medical attention, we got them on meds, we got them that treatment. We need to rebuild the stock of psych beds so that there's some place to bring them and make sure that if they are in supportive housing, that they're being monitored so that they take their meds.
Let's stop it right there for a minute.
Did he say vaccinated in that too?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it was specifically about vaccinations, but
I know it wasn't, but it was like right at the beginning of how he was going on to that, like, make sure they get their meds part. I thought I heard something.
I think that it was about psych beds.
Oh, okay.
In mental health. We can back it up a little bit too. This is what happens when you get a fucking technocrat anywhere near government. They don't see you as people. They see you as like data points. I want to back it up because the way that he talks is just so dehumanizing.
Who need help don't have the capacity to raise their hand and say, I need help. So we have to get the people the help that they need, even if they don't know it yet. And we can do this. There's been a standard in the past where if someone is clearly mentally ill or in need of medical attention, we got them on meds, we got them that treatment. We need to rebuild the stock.
That treatment.
Place to bring them and make sure that if they are in supportive housing, that they're being monitored so that they take their meds. Yes, mental.
So if they're in supportive housing, they must be monitored. So we're advocating now for forced psychiatric treatment, forced medical treatment, and total surveillance. Good start, Andy.
Mentally ill people have rights, but you know who else have rights? We do. The people and families of the city.
I'm going to back that up a little bit, just so we can get the full sentence.
Yes, mentally ill people have rights, but you know who else have rights? We do.
Yes, mentally ill people have rights, but you know who else does? We do. Because you know who hasn't had rights before this? People who aren't mentally ill. We've been second-class citizens to the goddamn loonies our entire fucking lives, and it's about time we stood up. I agree, Andrew Yang. Let's take this country back from the mentally ill.
The people and families of the city. We have the right to walk the street and not fear for our safety because a mentally ill person is going to lash out at us.
So what would you do?
So Andrew Yang, again, and there's still like a minute left of this, or 30 seconds left of this clip. But Andrew Yang is seeing mentally ill people everywhere he goes, and he's in fear for his life.
Like, he does realize that mentally ill encompasses a lot of people too. Oh my God, Jesu. No.
Okay, well, there's 24 seconds left. See if we can get through it
Ooh,
without
shot
stopping.
clock.
When someone who is potentially violent doesn't come indoors.
Again, the standard should be that if someone's clearly mentally ill, or a threat, or unconscious, or unresponsive, then we take them off of the streets and we bring them to a hospital or other facility where they get cleaned up, get treated, get medicated, and then we maintain that situation and until they're clearly not a threat to anybody.
Huh.
I believe there is a word for that. Eugenics.
Yes. And also mass incarceration of the mentally ill. Like, he's suggesting they do it on a case-by-case basis, but the mayor of New York isn't going to have the resources for that, to send people out to evaluate somebody to determine whether or not they should be forcibly removed from where they're at, taken to a state-run mental facility where they're forced to go on medication until the state determines they're okay, until we figure it out. That's what he just said.
Elijah McClain in Colorado was on the spectrum, and he was walking, around the city, back from a corner store, I think, and he was killed, murdered by fucking pigs, and because they forcibly overdosed him on ketamine, I think. So, hearing Andrew say that, and then knowing the obvious implications of that, knowing the history of, how mentally ill people are treated by the police. Oh my God, there was another man in Los Angeles who was killed by what's her face? And I'm not even going to say her name because she's an Instagram influencer. That's how fucked up this country is. A killer cop became an Instagram influencer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but she killed, I forgot his name. I feel awful about that. I think it was Daniel Hernandez or someone else. I'm so sorry because there's so many people. There's like so many names in LA that I learned about, but she killed someone while he was in the middle of a mental episode. So like knowing that and then hearing Andrew Yang say that, it's like, the implications of that are going to be so horrific and disastrous, and like choke on a sack of dicks, Andrew.
Yeah, dude, can you believe people thought that dude was a progressive hero? Like, there were people that jumped all over that guy's campaign that were so ready to fucking box if you said a word against Andrew Yang or actually told them what UBI was. That was the worst. Like, I never had a dog in the Democratic Party fight. Never. Fucking shit talked and pointed out what was up with every single candidate. If there was something to credit them for, that got done, but in no way, shape, or form was I ever trying to sell anyone a Democratic candidate or lie about who they were, try to misrepresent them and make them into be something they weren't. And fuck me, I don't understand what the attraction was in Andrew Yang. I don't.
It was the whole UBI thing, I think. It was, you know what? It was one of those same things that it's like that kind of Elon Musk effect that I'm just going off like, my own speculation from observations where it was like, with Elon, you had the like, oh, he's a cool billionaire. He's got a Tesla, an electric car. He went on Joe Rogan. Like, yeah, like, I don't know. With Andrew Yang, I guess it was like, oh, he's a cool technocrat. He's the math guy, you know, he skateboards and he's got this great idea he's pushing called UBI, and you know, he's a little bit little bit of an outsider in that, you know.
1K all day, bro.
Yeah. I think that was the thing.
How fucking simple are you if you're just like, okay, this is someone who wants to be wants to be president, who is quite literally offering to bribe me for my vote. Do you think that guy is going to behave scrupulously if you actually give him power?
I mean, I'll take the money. You can't see who I voted for.
That was the catch, though. You had to vote him in before he would give you the $1,000.
Hey, no cap, bro. No cap. I made it. Listen, no cap. I made a throwaway Gmail account and I entered that 1K contest. Like, the benefits outweighed the risks. I'm sorry. Like, oh, what? So now my like 5th Gmail account is getting spammed by Andrew Yang. Oh no. Well, I don't know if and this is on the note of Zionist. Can I share Twitter videos from here? Yeah, I see the share button. Nice.
Make sure you hit the share audio too.
Okay. Oh wait. Okay, there we go. It gave me the little tutorial thing. It looks just like Tootsie. Yeah. Okay. So this was in occupied Palestine today.
I don't see anything. Oh, I wouldn't see anything.
And for those of you, and just in case you don't know where the Nakba comes from, that was the original mass displacement of Palestinians in 1948 when they were basically marched like the Jews during the Holocaust to refugee camps, mostly in Gaza. And just to comment on that comment real quick as well before showing the last 28 seconds of this here. Go to Gaza. It was revealed, and I think Abby Martin showed this in the Gaza Fights for Freedom documentary, but there are old Israeli intelligence documents which reveal that part of the plan was to drive most of the Palestinians into Gaza so they can then, systematically starve them in an open air prison. Now, so quick comment to that. Don't chat shit to me about being offended about from the river to the sea. Like that's just kind of another nail in the coffin of some Zionist propaganda, because I mean, like, are you trying to tell me that from the river to the sea means oh my god, you want to throw Jews into burning hot lava? Ah, like, how dare you, Bella Hadid, say you want to throw Jews into the sea? No,
There's
it
burning
means
hot lava
from,
in the sea.
I don't know. It means from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Palestinians will be liberated. Like, don't you? And like, I'm not even gonna try to explain that away. Like, the fact that you're trying to take the moral high ground, that you're trying to take the victimhood when you're shouting shit like death to Arabs. Oh, there's gonna be a second Nakba coming. Like, the fact that you have Zionists cheering on, advocating for a second Nakba, that's literal fucking Nazi shit. Like, the Palestinians were literally forced out of their homes and marched away. What does that sound like to you guys? Literally, 3 years after the conclusion of the Holocaust, Palestinians were forcibly removed to their homes and marched into refugee camps, or to be in Gaza, which is currently the world's largest open air prison. It's like, it's disgusting to think of all these things and you still have Zionists wanting to play victim. Nah, fuck out of here. It's like, and if I see anyone trying to bring up some bullshit ADL statistic about how anti-Semitism has increased, okay, what about the anti-Semitism from Jewish people standing up to the Israeli apartheid regime and then subsequently getting called something like worms or rats for it? What about what about the increase in racism towards Arabs or towards Palestinians? I can't even cover a fucking protest without getting compared to human trash or called a terrorist. And you're gonna try to fucking guilt trip me into feeling sorry for some Zionists? Like, bro, y'all make worse dives than Neymar out here. Ben Askren makes more convincing dives than you guys. Like, it's fucking pathetic. And I am glad I shed negative tears to seeing the Zionist narrative crumble in the court of public opinion. Like, I'm cheering that people are more willingly supporting Palestinians. I'm cheering the fact that it's getting bigger. Fuck your victimization, Zionists. Seriously. And like, I can't wait till the full liberation of Palestine is complete. But we really are making progress with smashing Zionist propaganda, and that's one of the good things of this, because fuck me, bro. Fuck me.
So I do want to get back to the doc. We've got, I don't know. I don't really know how much time we have left because it's our show, but we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes now. So if we can get through this in the next 15 or so, maybe we can have a little break before ABB.
All right.
Pull this back up. It is critical that we condemn and confront domestic terrorism regardless of the particular ideology that motivates individuals to violence. The definition of domestic terrorism in our law makes no distinction based on political views, left, right, or center, and neither should we. We must disrupt and deter those who use violence to intimidate racial or religious minorities who have so often been the victims of these hateful extremists. So too must we disrupt and deter those who launch violent attacks in a misguided effort to force change in government policies that they view as unjust. In a democracy, there is no justification for resorting to violence to resolve political differences. Could you explain that to Tiger Swan and the like 17 states that sent cops to go fucking terrorize protesters at Standing Rock. Could you do that? We will do all of this with a singular goal: stopping acts of domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism has taken the lives of too many Americans in recent years, injuring still more and leaving behind grieving families and friends. The overreaching goal of this strategy is preventing, disrupting, and deterring that violence. Pursuing that goal includes reducing factors contributing to domestic terrorism. Those factors have multiple dimensions, including incitement to imminent violence online, some transnational linkages, and certain self-proclaimed private militia activity that, to varying degrees, is prohibited by the laws of all 50 states. Addressing these factors contributing to domestic terrorism is, in part, a means to achieving the first objective of preventing the violence itself and handling the threats we face today, but it also must be its own objective, as reducing the contributing factors can make a difference in diminishing the threat we might otherwise face tomorrow. Where do they get into the... Where'd it go? Here
do what congressional members do to read bills and hit that Control F key, Steve.
Nah, because I'm not going to keyword search. So this is the analysis gathering part, and there was a... Here we go. Maximizing the federal government's understanding of this particular threat also means supporting and making appropriate use of the analysis performed by entities outside the government that can bring to bear relevant expertise, and doing so in a structured way that provides a channel for analysis while also avoiding bias or improper influence, or even the appearance of it. To that end, and consistent with civil liberties and privacy protections, DHS will introduce a new systematic approach for utilizing pertinent external non-governmental analysis and information that will provide enhanced situational awareness of today's domestic terrorism threat. That includes, where appropriate, specialized areas and types of analysis, including ways which gender-motivated violence can have implications for domestic terrorism threats. That essentially means, in this like mess of words up here, that there's going to be a new public-private partnership formed for the sole purpose of mass data collection and analysis. So more government, of course, is the answer, and more blending of the government and the private sector is the answer, because then there's third-party accountability so that you can't blame or go after the government. No, we weren't doing this. Booz Allen Hamilton was. Tiger Swan was. It wasn't us, because, you know, we just have a partnership, but we're not responsible for what the partner does. We just sign the checks and draw the contracts.
Right.
Hooray! Go back to this shit show.
Yay.
Improve information sharing across all levels within as well as outside the federal government. This is strategical. There's 4 pillars to this. I don't know if we'll get through all of them today. They do kind of deserve to have a little bit of time taken on. With this enhanced domestic terrorism related research and analysis, the federal government must continue to improve information sharing on domestic terrorism threats across the government to ensure that all relevant federal partners are equipped to take appropriate measures with this knowledge. Consistent with legal and policy limitations on the sharing of sensitive law enforcement information, we will continue sharing information widely across the federal enterprise, including, as noted above, through new efforts focused specifically on the domestic terrorism threats that can be identified from open source information. Open source information, of course, being the ability to scrape social media for your pictures or for your posts that say where you are or where you were.
All for new and innovative outlets like Bellingcat.
Yay. In addition, the federal government must constantly update and advance its effort to share relevant information externally, as some of the first to identify a potential threat of domestic terrorism are often state, local, tribal, or territorial partners, or those in their communities. That is why we have already increased our focus on information sharing with those partners, providing at the unclassified level more information with more details more quickly. This includes publishing and disseminating intelligence reports that provide our partners with greater insight into the evolving threat, as well as situational awareness notifications to inform public safety and security planning efforts in advance of potential violence. That looks like a call for whistleblowers. I don't know about you, Jones. I read that as anyone involved in any one of those public or private partnerships that has information on how the government is going to fuck with us and make our privacy disappear. That is a pretty good opportunity to get this ahead of time.
Jeez.
As discussed further below, we're developing new resources as part of our broader effort to boost local, state, tribal, and territorial enforcement in tackling domestic terrorism, including resources that will cover relevant iconography, symbology, and phraseology used by many domestic terrorists, as well as data-driven guidance on how to recognize potential indicators of mobilization to domestic terrorism.
Nice. Just. Mhm. Did he just freeze her? What? Wait a second. Did we just freeze her? This is so awkward, guys. Okay. Did we actually freeze though? Let me check.
I don't think so. I see it. No, we good.
Okay.
I think Steve.
Oh, it was just Steve? Okay, because I legit thought. Okay, yeah, Jack Sith said. Okay. I gotta be real. Yeah, no, it's good. I was like, because for a second I genuinely thought it was me, because internet and stuff. But like, then it showed up as actually like, not being there. So
his ship might have crashed 110 where he's at.
That's a fair point. I'm not entirely sure what to do here because I actually don't have the document. But let me see. No, I don't. I'm sorry. You know what I will do?
Is there any super rays?
I know, right? That's what I want to check. I gotta open up Rockfin. Because normally I focus mainly on the YouTube because I know y'all like to be on FedTube, but yes, I still operate in there because I am, after all, a woman of the chat first and foremost. Let's see what we got for Super Rays. Okay. I see. We have no offense. What?
Internet's pretty crappy right now, too. No, keep going.
It is. No offense, tipped $2. We have another $2 from Gardy Lou, said ICE is also an intelligence organization charged with policing domestic extremists. There are spots for activists in those for profit detention centers. Facts. And then there's also Hunter Carranza. Thank you. She said love and solidarity. And I assume she sent an emoji with that because it says a question mark. But yes, thank you everyone for the super raise. It's always appreciated on Slow News Day. Yes, sir. Anyways, I guess while we're waiting on Steve to get back here, one thing I will show is this video from so basically yesterday Commander X, who as you guys might know, was illegally renditioned to the US with the full approval of the Mexican government, and he's currently in the Santa Rita jail in Alameda County, California. And and he's currently in there. His initial charge was failure to appear, but he's actually being charged with the DDoS attacks about 10 years ago now that took place in Santa Cruz County because they were treating their homeless like shit. So there's that. That's kind of the context of that situation. He had political asylum and refugee status in Mexico, which was clearly violated. And so yesterday he was able to have a video call from the jail with his sister. And hold up, don't show these tips again. And I'll go ahead and share that here. Let me.
I'm not sure what the fuck happened because he ain't hitting up Element either.
What?
Said I haven't seen him on Element either. Have you?
I wonder if his power completely crashed or something. But yeah, I'll play this video real. Yeah.
Always makes me nervous because of all this X shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't give me an always appreciated Glory Jones.
Wait, what? I didn't?
I don't think so.
I could have sworn I did.
You should do another one just cause.
No, I actually did though. That's the thing. Like, did I freeze out at some point?
Maybe.
Okay, well,
Could be
because
my
Sleepy
internet.
asked.
All 110
Because Sleepy asked. Because you asked Sleepy J. Thank you everyone for the super raise. It's always appreciated on Slow News Day.
Man, Pasta gave me a real extra one last time I was watching, and like she looked like she wanted to stab a dude. It was great.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna share this video. Basically, it's the message that Commander X kind of had for all of us that was recorded by his sister during their video call through the jail and put together by some anons. So let me make sure I'm sharing the audio here, and we'll play that clip here.
Oh, hold on, I gotta do it. Give me a second.
Darkness. They made me sign numerous documents, and they would not
start it over.
Start it over? Okay. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, starting it over now.
World that I was illegally renditioned from the nation of Mexico, where I had political asylum and where I was a humanitarian refugee. They removed me illegally from the country under cover of darkness. They made me sign numerous documents, and they would not tell me what they were, and removed me from the country. I am being held in solitary confinement. I am allowed 1 hour out of my cell every 48 hours. It's up to you to save my life.
Fun times.
Jesus, guys, this is.
I don't care what you think about X, dude. Like y'all need to rally around him. This is fucked.
Me neither. And like, Listen, I don't care either. And yes, I do have a bias because I'm younger, so like, I wasn't around with X when he was active and shit, but I don't care. Okay? He's old, he's not in the best of health, and he's currently at the whims of the US prison system right now. Like, this is what they wanted to do to Julian Assange. They wanted to successfully rendition him. So that's what happened to X, and it's so heartbreaking because what's worse about all this for me is just like, personally, is it literally comes right as X is starting to get better. Because if you guys remember, back in January of this year, we gave Commander X what we thought would be the last interview of his life period. And it was very emotional to do so. And fast forward a couple months and he pops up out of nowhere like, yo, I want to start doing a show. And this is really awesome because he's still not in the best of health, but he's in much better health, and he's starting to get back into things. And within that period of time, he's able to stream these 4-hour shows talking about great issues. He's able to kind of help boost activist issues, especially at a time of everything happening between the Zionist occupation in Palestine. He does, a 4-hour panel about Julian Assange with me, Natalia, Misty, and Kendra. And he helped bring Wi-Fi to the Freedom Camp in Santa Cruz, which was, the homeless encampment that Keith McHenry was doing a lot of work in. And he managed to help get them Wi-Fi again. So like, he really was committed to trying to get back into activism and giving back to, not only his community, but also future generations of activists to come. And it was really good to see him kind of getting back up. And then right as that's happening is when he's arrested again. And yeah, that's some sheet fuckery. It sucks. It really does suck. And I mean, you can probably see the at the bottom of my screen, but at @FreeCommanderX_ is where you can find more updates in this. Right now, we're just waiting to hear about, his court dates. We're trying to schedule more video calls. And we're trying to as well set up some defense for him. But I mean, like, this is just a part of so much fuckery happening to information activists, happening to hacktivists. I mean, we've already said this multiple times, how Marty G's fundraiser got slammed, the DDoS Secrets account got suspended, the Barrett Brown was served unsealed charges, and you have the ongoing persecution of Julian Assange. And right now, it'd be nice to know where we're going with the prosecution of Julian Assange, because quite frankly, what the fuck is going on with the appeals process? Honestly, be nice to hear some communication about that. Not gonna lie. Whoops, sorry, I let that out. But oh well. I mean, there's so many people suffering at the whim of this system, guys. There's so many political prisoners. You know what sucks is like, it's wild how Julian's been more or less not imprisoned but detained between the Ecuadorian embassy in London and Hellmarsh prison for about a decade now. How much is that compared to a bunch of the old Black Panthers, compared to someone like Mumia? Like, Steve's first protest, Steve's first protest was to go to a free. Yeah, back in Steve's day, his first protest was to go to a Free Mumia rally, and he's still in prison. That
shit kills me, dude. I've been following that one for a long time, and it kills me.
I know, like, it kills me how these things are allowed to continue for so long, and people just keep falling for it. And the more and more we allow this to happen, the more and more we allow the continued encroachment upon information activists and our privacy rights. You're going to end up with more and more generations of people like me who have no idea what a pre 9/11 world is like, because I don't know what the fuck that's like. I was 1 year old when 9/11 happened, okay? And like, there's way more people like me. There's going to be so many people born into a world where they don't know what the fuck privacy rights are. They're not going to know. Like so like
Tell us what rights are,
that's
mommy.
where that's where education is going to become so paramount to this whole thing, because how are people going to be able to fight for rights that they didn't have to begin with? Like, I mean,
true.
I know people have done that before.
That's fucked up.
I
I
know
never thought of it in that context, dude. That's wild.
I mean, like, I know people have done that before. I know people have fought for rights that they've never had before. I know that that's the premise of a lot of, the struggles in the global South, or the struggles of like slave rebellions and such, going back to the 18th and 19th century. But at the same time, like, when people are so adapted to the lack of something like privacy rights and given a false sense of security, a lot of people aren't going to put a lot of importance in that. They're not going to put a lot of importance into the case of Julian Assange and the future of journalism. Because as long as they're tricked into having this perceived notion of like, oh yeah, well, I'm doing all right. I mean, I can't understand why none of my causes are being furthered. Like with something like the environment or Black Lives Matter, like those very much depend on free flow information, on the ability to be able to share information, like something like filming the cops. But so many people, as people are going to go on into these movements of environmental advocacy, of anti-cop advocacy, of Black liberation advocacy, of all these causes, they're going to go on and they're going to, unfortunately, very much get co-opted. And we're going to be doomed to keep falling into this continuous circle of co-option, and people will fail to understand where it came from, because we don't know enough about how to protect journalism, or how to protect privacy rights, or the surveillance state, or how COINTELPRO moves, or how the police, or how the national security state moves, or how narrative management works. So that's why it's going to be so imperative to be able to break that stuff down, because otherwise people will fail to understand why it seems like the empire or the establishment or the state is always going to be 20 steps ahead of them. So, yeah. That's
So should we wrap? I haven't heard back from Steve.
I see Steve in the element.
Oh, he's got no power. All right, so
okay.
Final words, Glory, and then I'll wrap it here.
Yeah, final words again. We're really hoping to get some huge actions for Julian's birthday. The home run for Julian tour is still going on, so please check that out. If there's an event near you, then please try and get to that. Please try and make it for that. And then after that home run for Julian tour, we are going to have birthday actions for Julian Assange, because he turns 50 on the 3rd of July. And keep an eye out for those actions. And then obviously at Slow News Day, we've been very focused on everything happening with the Commander X case. So please just help us.
Write him, y'all.
Yes, write to him. The address for that, I retweeted it from the @FreeCommanderX_ page. So please get on that. Please follow the Twitter account for updates. Si solo hablas español, tenemos una página en Facebook, okay? So se llama @FreeCommanderX. So yes, we have a Facebook page too, because we're trying to reach as many people as possible here with this. And yeah, just try to reach out to as many local journalists as you can. We're working with indie media that we know, and we're also working with some local Mexican press as well. So we really just want to get as much attention to this case as possible, just so we can at least try and ensure that there's a basic respect for human rights, even though they've already been violated. So yeah, that's that. Catch us on ABB in about an hour here.
Steve will be on that. He's
Yes.
running the place with power. So
yes, assuming we start on time, it should start. Because I know Luby is streaming tonight. So assuming we start on time, we'll be on that in about an hour here. I don't know what else is coming up. Sunday. Oh, Friday. We have the Collins show. Get your shit together. 8 p.m. PST, 11 p.m. EST. And then Sunday, we have Allison Morrow on, and probably another news show for the afternoon one. And I think that's all we have booked. I think I did that. I think I did the plugs here.
I think you're right.
Okay.
So
yes.
should I do this
and then and then after that, Steve's gonna travel, and then I'm gonna be traveling too to go to LA to help raise hell for Julian's birthday. And big shout out to Ali Alexandra. Big shout out to CEO of Scoop Gang, Steve, having to deal with this power turning to shite on him. And big shout out to my salty hype man over there, Base God Tech Ninja, Sleepy J in the house. And thanks everyone who oh wait, we got another Super Ray. Hugly fantastical or hugely fantastical, or yeah, said thanks both. Steve is great, Mr. Josh is great, better than Steve's co-host Dr. Glory J, awesome as always. Peace. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and then thank you for that, Super Ray, because oh gosh, what is it? Oh, that's right. It's always appreciated on Slow News Day. And yeah, Sleepy J, what you got?
Good luck to us all.